Hi there, I'm doing my oratorical speech on my dad. For as long as I can remember, I've always been closer to my dad than I ever was with my mom. My dad always consoled me when something had gone wrong, always understood me when my mom would fly off the handle. He would even take my side when it came to how she reacted to something. I always felt so seen by my dad. We would talk about anything, no matter how uncomfortable. He made it clear, that there was no topic off the table. He wanted to be completely open with me, and he would answer any of my questions. This made me feel so incredibly special, and as you can tell, I was a daddy's girl, still am. We would have our daddy-daughter dates, we would sit and talk, and discuss anything, whatever was on our minds. It didn't matter. I remember many times when he would be working late or just dead tired, he would always at least try to hang out with my sisters and I right before bed. Something that he did that was really important to me, and I still really appreciate, is before we would go to bed, he would always pray with us. It didn't matter where we were. If we were at a friend's house, we'd call, he'd call. If we were at grandparents' house, he'd call. We'd always do a prayer. Didn't matter. And I always really appreciated this because I did grow up Christian and I have a lot of anxiety. And so for when I'm going to sleep and I have a lot of anxiety before bed, it really just gave me so much peace. So I really appreciated him doing that. As a little girl, I felt like there was nothing my dad wouldn't do for me. Of course, he's human, and he wasn't perfect. Um, and I know that he still would do anything for me. I know that that hasn't changed. But it's very strange as you get older. You start to see your parents as actual people. They used to be someone you looked up to who could maybe do no wrong or maybe have some faults, but not do too many terrible things or have opinions or have a life other than being your parent. I always looked up to my dad. I wanted to find a man like my dad that I never, who was so dedicated to his kids and was so strong in his faith. As I got older, I noticed little things about my dad that I never wanted to know. I learned more about him as a person, which is a beautiful thing, but it's a very interesting, kind of confusing situation to be in. I learned more about how it was when his mother, my grandmother, died. I began to realize that my dad was a whole person, and of course he has emotions, and he struggles. The thing is, it's strange to get to know your parents as people, not just as a title, parent. As I'm an adult now, married and out of the house for almost 6 years, it's a strange thing to continue this relationship. It becomes turns into a whole other thing. A part of your expectations drop, part of your whole view of them kind of shrivels up, and you feel a little confused. The relationship between a child and a parent is always a complicated thing, but I'd say it's really hard for a father and a daughter. Especially for the father, this little being that the father taught and watched grow up and loved and would do anything for her, even though he knew the day would come that she would have to go, even though he hoped it wouldn't be anytime soon. For me, I didn't realize how this would affect my dad. I knew he was an emotional man. I knew he was getting emotional as the day of my wedding came. And I knew we were close, but we had some distance closer to the wedding when I got married. I knew he wanted to be there for me, but he knew it wasn't his job anymore. He knew that that was not his title anymore. He's always going to be my dad, but he wasn't going to have to do the thing to help me. He wasn't going to be there for me for everything. It was going to be my husband to fix the problems. He recognized that, and I really appreciate that he stepped aside. He could have held on tighter, but he didn't. He recognized it. It must have been really hard. I know it was really hard for him to watch me live my life and make my own decisions and have my own opinions. I have my own opinions now, and the conversations that we have become more interesting, but also a lot more frustrating. I have very different views on things nowadays than I did when I grew up. I grew up, how I grew up, and it has been quite something to navigate with my dad, who I used to feel like I could share anything with. These days it has become harder because a lot of the conversations become inflammatory about certain topics. It's been a learning experience. It's become harder, but it is a growing relationship. It has evolved. There's a lot of things that are changing. We're still figuring out how our relationship is to this day. I do get kind of sad that it's not as simple as it once was when I was younger. It seemed much simpler and much more free when I was younger. I like to remember the times when I had moments with him where I thought nothing bad would ever happen, or if something bad did happen, he'd always be there to fix it. I really appreciate his openness to his feelings. That's something that my dad has always been open about, his feelings. He would openly cry in front of us. We didn't think he was a weak person for it. We always knew he was he had a very beautiful, sensitive heart. And I am very similar with my sensitivity as well. I'm a very sensitive person, very empathetic. And I'll always be grateful that my dad showed that. I've seen very few men do that. It was very important for him to have shown us that growing up. I'll always be grateful of that relationship that we've had, and I thank God that I am able to still work on a relationship now. So, thank you to my dad, who taught me it is okay to be emotional and to resolve problems as soon as possible. He taught me also to listen to my convictions and to be a good friend. He taught me what it means to be a loyal friend, and that sacrificing things for people you love is just a given. You just do it. These are just a few things that my dad has instilled in me since I was little. I hope you enjoyed it. Thanks.